Welcome to part 2 of this Hotseat campaign for the Americas, and it's really heating up a little bit right now with the diplomacy. There's some really secretive deals going on which other factions probably didn't even know were going on between certain factions, and we have one here coming from the Tavastrans to the Tlaxcalans. They're really trying to get the Tlaxcalans still to help with the Aztecs. I'm going to check for diplomacy to see the big decision that they actually made, because it was left on a cliffhanger in part 1. Like, the Tlaxcalans made a very big decision, and yeah, I think it's time to find out what that decision was. And then there's the Apaches here, who are saying to the Tlaxcalans that they seem to have made some form of a deal. Of course, I can't see all the diplomacy, I only see like a snippet of part of the conversation. And it seems like the deal is that the Apaches will rule the north and the Tlaxcalans will rule the south, which to me suggests a lot of backstabbing between these two factions here. The Apaches backstabbing the Shishimek and the Tlaxcalans backstabbing the Aztecs. Right, let's check for diplomacy. They're still allied, but they have signed peace with the Apache tribes and with the Tavastrans as well. So yeah, the diplomacy here is getting a little bit crazy. There's lots of not only is there normal deals, but there's also secret deals, and we're only seeing the messages that are going to the Tlaxcalans. Imagine the messages that are going just generally all around, like that maybe even the Mayans are getting involved in this, like making a deal with the Tavastrans to bring down the Aztecs. I don't even know. We only see a snippet of it, of course, but there's so much of a story going on here, and so much diplomacy that's quite interesting. But either way, this is turn 16. Welcome to part 2 of this series, which will be the final part as well. And yeah, let's go. Okay, so now the Shishimek are asking the Tlaxcalans to help with what I'm guessing, the Tavastrans. So the Tavastrans have betrayed the Shishimek, and he's trying to get the Tlaxcalans on his side. And then we have the Apaches here, almost begging the Tlaxcalans to not actually attack the Tavastrans, and to instead continue on the Aztecs. What have these people got against the Aztecs? Who's leading them? Oh, the Aztecs are being led by Kaisar. Now I know why everyone hates them. Okay, I'm joking, of course. But still, it's funny. Okay, so the Tavastrans did betray them here, and they're taking the Shishimek settlement. Let's check for diplomacy and what actually happened. So yeah, they seem to have gone to war with the Shishimek, backstabbing them. There's so much going on. Okay, so the Mayans are now at war with the Tlaxcalans, so this border all of a sudden has become hot, and it seems like the Tlaxcalans were the faction to make the move. So yeah, they're probably going to take a settlement out of this, but there's going to be a few conflicts around, and it could go either way on this front. But the Tlaxcalans are still allied to the Aztecs. I never knew there could be so much drama with Native Americans. Everyone but the Tlaxcalans seems determined to take them out, but the Aztecs might be making a bit of a comeback down here against the Tavastrans now that they're occupied elsewhere. What is the Tavastrans and the Shishimek's diplomacy like? So the Tlaxcalans are still at war with the Shishimek. The Tavastrans, was what I wanted to check here, are at war with the Aztecs and the Shishimek. So we saw the alliance start to break down a bit here, but the Apaches also have a plan to break the alliance down further by going to war with the Shishimek, trying to get the Tlaxcalans on their side. Oh, this is so confusing. Do you ever have that point where you're learning about the causes of the First World War, and at some point your mind just goes and everything just dies and you get completely lost in what's actually going on? I think we're in that same situation here. MELKOR's Hot Seat Let's Plays oversimplified, and it will be like some 10-minute video. You know the type of series or videos that I mean. Interesting deal by the Shishimek trying to contact the Tlaxcalans. By the way, if you're wondering why there's such a heavy focus on the Tlaxcalans, the reason is that's just the faction that I'm spectating as. It's just easier that way to choose one faction to spectate as. It means we only get the story of one faction, but it's a bit more in depth. Well, we don't even get the full story of that. This is just the way I decided to do it. Okay. Yeah. We of course have him attempting to get a ceasefire here, and him trying to convince the Talastrans to go to war with the Tavastrans. Now, I don't know what he did. We'll have to see what the diplomacy was next turn. The Mayans are probably not going to be happy with me attacking the Shishimiks. So I'm guessing there's some weird agreement here. Actually, between the Tavastrans and the Mayans. Some weird agreement. Wow, that's. I think I even mentioned that in part 1 as something super ridiculous, but it actually I think happened. Anyway, of course, the Talastrans have expanded further this way, taking some Mayan territory. Okay, so the Shishimek here have sent this message to the Talastrans, but I'm sure the Talastrans are planning on backstabbing the Shishimek. Maybe not, I don't know, but I believe the Shishimek now, they've lost a settlement to the Tavastrans and 1 or possibly 2 to the Apaches and the Tavastrans. I'm getting lost in the names a little bit, I think. So now they've gone on the defensive. The Aztecs are still alive, but that war with the Apache tribes and the Talastrans are trying to surround this area a little bit and trying to keep the Aztecs safe for whatever reason. I don't actually know yet. I haven't uploaded part 1 yet, so they might have all commented down below what was actually going on in that first 15 turns, which would be helpful if I did. Because the diplomacy right now is getting a little bit complex. I'm completely lost. I've got some rough idea of what's going on, but if I'm spectating and seeing all the information, if I'm spectating the campaign then, and I'm getting confused then, it's probably getting confusing for the viewer as well. So hopefully some sort of backstory would help. Right, the Tavastrans are trying to get an alliance with the Talastrans. Again, I don't know what exactly happened there, and some more stuff going on. I don't know why it happened there, so I'm just going to assume declined. It's always safer that way. Okay, so it seems like he's making some deal here to attack the Aztecs. The annoying thing is that we have to see diplomacy turn by the next turn, so we'll know next turn in a couple of minutes what exactly happened. Oh, I changed his settlement names. But yeah, I think he's definitely dead now. The Apacheans have him under siege. The Tavastrans could possibly take a settlement out of this as well. He's made a bit of a comeback. Over here. Is he changing names as well? Whatever. And of course, the Talastrans, they're really destroying the Mayans right now. They're making a lot of progress on them. Although the Mayans did make a bit of a comeback down here, and they're probably going to sweep up and take Touchland from them. So unless they can get some reinforcements down. And then the Spanish, are they actually going to try and make a comeback? That would be interesting to see. The Spanish making a little comeback down here. I don't know what he's really on about here, but you can of course read it if you want to. And he's still really asking for them to attack the Aztecs. It's just been going on for 15 turns now, but he's just not attacking the Aztecs yet. Let's check for diplomacy, see what happens. So he's of course signed peace now with all the northern factions, and an alliance with the Apacheans and the Tavastrans, which secures his northern border. He's still got the alliance with the Aztecs, and he's entirely now invested in the Mayans trying to take their territory. Because he really needs the Mayans to get destroyed. The Aztecs here are only at war now with the Shishimek. They've managed to get an alliance with everyone else, which is quite interesting. So they're going to survive for a little bit longer, I think. And yeah, everyone hates the Shishimek. Who were the Shishimek? Right, the Shishimek were led by Greninja, so yeah, he got a little bit unfortunate there. The diplomacy did not go in his favour, which was sad for him, but funny for us, the viewer. Oh, finally, this is the first turn in ages where there's been no conversation going on between the factions. Maybe diplomacy is starting to settle a bit now. Maybe factions have made up their mind of where they want this campaign to go for them. Yeah, and the Shishimek, they're really struggling right now. Just got on the bad end of the diplomacy, I guess. And got betrayed by 2 factions, I think, the Tavastrans and the Shishimek. Okay, so he's got his alliance back with the Apachean tribes. Oh, he became a vassal of the Apachean tribes. Ah, that makes sense. And he kind of needed to accept that, I guess, for his own survival. But now, of course, he's going to He's going to lose his finances a little bit, and I don't really know how the vassal works, does it? I think it just sends him money to the overlord, I guess. I don't really know how it works. I never sign them because they're completely useless in Total Wars against the AI, but in Hotseats they do have a little bit more meaning, I guess. Of course, the French have arrived, but yeah, I think this is going to be mostly over by the time they get here. The Europeans arrive and take a look at the situation. They'll be so confused. All the drama that's gone on to do with the diplomacy. What is this? So the Shishimek talking to the Tlaxcalans now, offering all the territory. Oh no, they're demanding territory. 2 settlements, and they're gonna pay for it. Now, I don't know what actually happened there. I'm assuming the Tlaxcalans declined. Oh, but the Mayans all of a sudden making a comeback, although, you know, the Tlaxcalans are making some aggressive pushes. It seems everyone's just gone on the aggressive all of a sudden, and a few territories have been lost on either side. The Tlaxcalans, it's not looking good for them there. They could collapse to the Mayans, and if the Mayans rise as a superpower and get involved in all this, you know, they're not going to care about the Aztecs. They're just going to walk all over this, take all the territory, and then they're going to be some massive economic superpower, and yeah, they're just going to dominate. So the Mayans, all of a sudden, quite a powerful faction with a lot of potential. And of course, the Spanish, they got some territory. Well done to the Spanish. Let's everyone in the comment section give a clap for the AI Spanish faction here for actually being able to do something. Against all these human players, the AI managed to do something. They deserve a round of applause there. Wait, the Aztecs are demanding territory back. What position are they in to push demands like that? So he's needing more settlements to be able to build up his economy again and make a push. But of course the Tlaxcalans are not going to accept that, I don't think. Oh, this is interesting. Now, as soon as the Tlaxcalans are weak, because they can see what's happening, they know that the Mayans have made a very good push. So they know the Tlaxcalans are weak and desperate. So now they're saying that they're going to walk through the land no matter what. I find it interesting how the Tlaxcalans, when they were big, held power of like who crosses their land or not and what you can and can't do. Like he was saying, no, you can't attack the Aztecs, and so they did it because he was a powerful faction and threatened war. But now that he's weak all of a sudden, because the Mayans are taking a lot of territory from him, all of a sudden he's lost that power and they're just doing whatever they want, which I find to be quite interesting. At long last, the Tlaxcalans have broken their alliance with the Aztecs. This could mean that they go to war eventually. I don't know. But he's definitely keeping his alliance with these 2 northern factions here, the Tarascans and the Apaches. I think he's made the decision now to actually trust in these factions, whereas the Aztecs, they're at war with everyone again. And the Apaches still have the Shishimek as a vassal. Are they going to want to try and break free at some point? Possibly. I don't know. The Aztecs are asking the Tlaxcalans for a return to the alliance. Now, I don't know if he accepted that again, so just assume he didn't. Ceasefire from Spain. Get out of the way, Spain. Just a stupid AI faction. Oh, the Mayans looking really good all of a sudden. They've reclaimed all of their lost territory. They've taken these mountains and they're still pushing on the Tlaxcalans. The Mayans could quite easily take all of this, and they could quite easily take this Aztec territory here, and then nothing can stop the Mayans once they do that. The Mayans, they're looking really good, and the Tlaxcalans, it's all about to collapse. Another power that we should talk a bit more about, I think, is the Tarascans. They're looking quite big. You know, they've got a lot of settlements and a lot of armies. I think they have potential to take some Aztec territory and take some Tlaxcalan territory at some point, and then eventually they could become quite powerful over here as well if they send the troops, because they don't really have much of a defence over here, I don't think. Not from what I can see. I wonder why the Apaches are not taking these rebel settlements here. Like, just take a few of them, and like one army could take a few and another army over here, and that would really help with his economy, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a mistake that he's not going that, but maybe, of course, he's got his own reasons why. But as I said, the Tarascans, they are quite strong, but I don't think they're going to be strong enough to fight the Mayans. Unless, like, they all team up and do what they did with the Aztecs, like a joint coalition against one faction. But I doubt that will happen for the Mayans. Now, I'm spectating as the Apaches this turn, and there's something interesting that I want to point out. is that if we remove the fog of war and see what the Apaches can see, then we see that to them on the minimap, the Tlaxcalans are still strong and making a good push on the Mayans. So maybe there's either one of two things. Either they're being really risky with negotiations with the Tlaxcalans, saying, no, we're just going to pass through your land anyway and attack the Aztecs, we don't care. And yeah, they don't actually know the Tlaxcalans are weak. Or the Apaches have some form of private conversation going on with the Mayans, like some deal to like crush the Aztecs and possibly even the Tlaxcalans together. Because the Apaches had some idea of them becoming the power of the north and the Tlaxcalans becoming the power of the south, but maybe that's changed. Maybe they still want to become the power of the north, but they're planning on the Mayans instead to become the superpower of the south. Now, of course, this is all just my own ideas, but just something interesting that I spotted there, and you know, might help a bit. Anyway, it seems like the Mayans have been pushed back a little bit, and the Tlaxcalans here are about to retake their land as well. So this border here is starting to look balanced again, back to how it was before the war began. So yeah, it's going to be like a very 50-50 stalemate this front, I think. It's going to be interesting to see, unless the Mayans can get here with reinforcements, but yeah, I doubt it. The Tarascans have the Aztecs under siege here. If they can take this settlement, then that's going to be just, you know, another good settlement onto their name. They don't have a good border with the Tlaxcalans then though. A couple of borders with them, so maybe we could see a Tlaxcalan-Tarascan war. All these stupid names are so difficult to get your head around. Seems like the Shishimek here are trying to get a ceasefire with the Tlaxcalans. I'm going to assume it was a decline, of course. We'll see next turn. And alright, the Shishimek are trying to get the Tlaxcalans to strike on the Tarascans as soon as possible, and use your assassins on the Aztecs. So, oh, your Regicide master, playing as the Tlaxcalans, has destroyed the Mayans through Regicide. If you want to know what Regicide is, as some people always struggle with this idea, if all the generals die of one faction, so that's all family members, then the faction gets hit by Regicide, and they all go rebel, and that's it, the faction is gone. And that seems to be what has happened to the Mayans. I actually, to be honest, I knew this was going to happen, because it caused a bit of a discussion in my Discord. Basically, what happened is, through the use of spies, not assassins, sorry, I think it was assassins, I don't know, somehow the Tlaxcalans managed to kill all the generals belonging to the Mayans here, and Vision, the person who played as the Mayans, he understandably was not happy about this. He thought he was doing well, and then all of a sudden, Regicide, he's dead. And he wasn't happy, so I of course knew that this was of course a thing, but I assumed it would happen a couple of turns later, but yeah, so it is still kind of a shock for me that, wow, that's just wiped off the map, and all of a sudden the Tlaxcalans, they're free to take all this settlement here. This entire front here, no longer, I was going to say no longer a problem, there's still the Spanish here, but it's led by AI, so let's be honest, it's no longer a problem. And up here, it looks like he's lost his settlement to the Aztecs. Is he at war? No, he's allied with the Aztecs. Oh, I'm so confused. But he's at war with the Shishimek. The Apaches are at war with the Aztecs, and the Aztecs are at war with the Tarascans, of course. The French are here now as well. There's so much diplomacy. Okay, everyone's got this settlement under siege. It's going to be interesting to see who takes it, because the Tarascans have it under siege and the Apaches have it under siege as well. So which one's going to take it next? You know what, right now, I'm rooting for Spain. Come on, AI Spain, and AI France. Come on, get the win, beat the human players. I doubt it's going to happen, but still. Alright, so now the Tlaxcalans are fine on this front here. They've got an army together to take the rebel settlements, but mostly they're pushing north now. They're all of a sudden quite a big power, and I guess it's right now going to be between them and the Tarascans. And he is at war again with the Northern Alliance. He's at war with the Tarascans, the Shishimek, and the Apaches, bringing in his troops north as well. I don't know if they declared war on him or he on them, I don't really know, but Still, this is going to be a big brutal war to end the series, I think. And for some reason, he's still allied to the Aztecs. What is it with him and the Aztecs? I really want to know. Surely they'll probably leave something down in the comment section of the first episode. But yeah, there's some really strong alliance there. I don't know if there's money being exchanged within the game, not in real life, of course. Just if you were, never mind. Although that would be funny. But yeah, why is he so determined to stay allied with the Aztecs and not remove them from the game? Maybe he's worried that if he does that, then he knows the Northern Alliance is strong between the Apacheans, the Shishimek, and the Tarascans. So maybe he's worried that he'll be left on his own to fight off those three. So have the Aztecs in there for now to help him. I guess that's the plan, but as I said, I don't know. They're really trying to get that ceasefire. Right, every single faction there basically asked him for a ceasefire. Well, of course he wants to win by himself. Like, who doesn't want to win? Right, the Shishimek believe now that the Tlaxcalans are going to win. I think we had to skip a turn, problem with save files, and some other stuff there. And just a row of spies and assassins. Alright, so the Tlaxcalans have made a move, they've taken some more settlements, and they're looking really quite good now. They're taking these rebel settlements as well. I think it's looking very heavily in their favour. Are they still allied with the Aztecs? Yeah, still allied with the Aztecs and still at war with the Northern Alliance. The Apacheans trying to vassalize the Tlaxcalans. I don't really know what's going on here. The Aztecs seem a little bit annoyed at the Tlaxcalans for not helping them, but at this point, he doesn't need you anymore. He's used you throughout this entire campaign, and he doesn't need you anymore. This is what I'm assuming anyway. I don't know what all the diplomacy was. There might have been some weird secret deals going on. But yeah, I'm assuming that he doesn't need you anymore, so he's not going to help you. In a few more turns, he's going to war with you, and he's going to destroy. And it was at this point here, turn 32, when all the human players decided that they surrender. They'd actually given up by this point to the Tlaxcalans because he had so many armies coming. He was clear that the Tlaxcalans at this point was going to win, even if all four of them united together. I'm going to just decline that, let's see. Yeah, so the Tarascans and the Apacheans have given up. Yeah, GG's there. Of course, the Tlaxcalans, I think, if I'm being honest, they could have fought on for a bit longer. I, of course, would have liked to have seen a few more turns, but I'm confident the Tlaxcalans have won this campaign at this point. What I said to the players was, if all players decide to surrender to him, then it counts as a surrender. If not, they keep on playing. And, the Shishimek, what are they going to do? The Tarascans and the Apacheans have decided they want to surrender. The Shishimek, they're trying to make a bit of a comeback, but what are they really going to do at this point? And the Aztecs here, again, same again, what are they going to do at this point? And, of course, they surrendered. And that was the end of the campaign. So yeah, a bit of a weird ending. I'm actually spectating as the Aztecs now at the end, which is, oh well. All players decided that they wanted to surrender to him. They gave him, all these settlements here were just surrendered to him. All the way up to here as well, interesting. And yeah, that was it. I know some people would of course want to see this campaign to have gone further without them surrendering, but this had already gone on for a while, and I'm guessing the players just gave up. The diplomacy fell down. The Tlaxcalans have of course taken the win. Even if they weren't given all these settlements here, they'd still be looking really good. The Apacheans, they're the weak faction, they were going to struggle at that point. The Shishimek had lost almost all the land. The Tarascans were left, but they'd lost so much at that point. There wasn't really much point, I think, and in their mind, in fighting on. The Aztecs, they've been taking a brutal hit from the very start, but somehow managed to hold their diplomatic relations with the Tlaxcalans throughout the entire campaign, which I found interesting. Of course, maybe they've said this in part 1 in the comment section, but why was that alliance so strong? I don't know. Make sure you check the comment section for that. Maybe they'll explain there. Your Total War Master, his YouTube channel will be linked down below, along with some other stuff if people want to. If anyone wants who was part of the series wants to link anything, then that will be linked down below as well. But your Total War Master, especially for organising this and of course getting the win as the Telestrans. Let's check the stats. So here are all the factions now. The Shishimeks we weren't involved because, you know, because of how their campaign was. The Telestrans, yeah, we'll keep those in. The rest we'll keep in. We won't involve the Europeans as well. The Shishimek never really had a big empire at any point, so that's why I'm not going to bother. Overall, the Telestrans win. Military, production, and the important thing, territory. So the Mayans were actually leading at this point, but eventually the Regicide just killed them off, and that was it. So the Telestrans, starting with one settlement, drawing with last place, ended in first place with about 13 settlements. I think they actually have more. I think it always takes a turn before it updates, so it would actually be a bit higher, I think, now. Because this was a very interesting campaign. I really enjoyed the diplomacy side of it. That was very good. Although it got a bit confusing at some points, and we didn't have the full story, of course, because of, you know, we're limited in how much I can actually show. I could have shown everything, but, you know, it would have been 20 episodes long, each episode over an hour. You know, people would lose interest. So a 2-part series is always best for these hot seats. By the way, if you do want to see more, then please do subscribe to get notified. If you want to, if you really want to help me out, then please do share this series. Every share does, you know, also help me grow and stuff. But most importantly, I hope you've enjoyed this. Sorry if the ending was a little bit anticlimactic with the surrendering, but I do think it does kind of make sense at this point. And I hope it didn't annoy some of you. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next one, and good. Bye.